Does the light go on or what? Okay. Good evening. It's 6 PM, November 9th, 2022. I'd like to open the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for this evening. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being televised live on local channel 18. If we could all rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next, does anybody have a public comment regarding anything not related to any agenda items tonight? If so, you can check in with Mary Ann now, and you can have 3 minutes to make your speech. Okay. I'm going to ask for public comment on each hearing at the end of that presentation. Also, I'd like to let everyone know that Ed Pesci will be here tonight, representing the town regarding any engineering matters, and he's representing the town for those matters tonight, and he'll be coming in later on. ZBA members Ron Bonvy, Brad Pitsley, and Charlie Reddy are absent tonight. So sitting on our first hearing will be our 4 regular board members, as well as George Gansemower. Okay, Sharon, would you read the first hearing, please?
44 Waterway. Owners Linda H. and David A. Pierce request a special permit under 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaws to raise or replace an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on property located in an R3 zone district, map 105, parcel 209, Mashpee, Mass.
Okay. No, 2, huh?
Did you get one?
Yep. You and I can share. Hi.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Attorney Christopher Corain, representing David and Linda Pierce, the owners of 44 Waterway, and the applicants for a special permit under your raise and replace bylaw 174-17.1. We are located in the R3 zoning district, and we are proposing to knock down a existing single-family residence and replace it with a 3-bedroom new single-family residence. Now, we are non-conforming in 3 ways. The front yard setback is not non-conforming because we're only 5 feet 9 inches off the front yard, the road, the front property line. We are non-conforming to the northerly side yard setback, as we're only 11.6 feet off of that side yard, and the lot coverage is non-conforming at 22.5%. The R3 district has a maximum of 20%. The existing dwelling was built sometime in the late 1960s, so we are now proposing, a new code-compliant structure. It will also be serviced by a new Title V system. We will be improving the front yard setback, as we'll be going from 5.9 feet to 20.8 feet. We will be eliminating the side yard setback, so there will be no nonconformity on the side yard, and the lot coverage, there's no change. So, under the first element of the bylaw, we are not creating any new nonconformities. As to the second element of whether or not there's sufficient parking, there is a garage that is proposed. There's driveway, and there's a secondary driveway here, garage here. So I would suspect that there is more than sufficient parking for this property. And then the last, and I just want to introduce Tim Luff. He was the architect for the project, so he can certainly answer any questions if they arise. And then the last criteria is obviously substantially not more detrimental than what currently exists. And again, 1968 structure being replaced with a code-compliant building. We are adding a new Title V that conforms to all Title V regulations as of today. There is elimination of a nonconformity, the side yard. We are improving the other nonconformity, the front yard, and again, no change to the lot coverage. This was also approved by the Conservation Commission. There is approximately 1,700 square feet of mitigation plantings were shown in the green towards the water side of the lot. So all in all, I would suggest to the board that this is an improvement over what currently exists and would meet the criteria for approval under 174-17.1. I did see some comments from Evan Lair, the town planner, and so I know we've been dealing with stormwater runoff on a couple of other projects. There are 3 infiltration areas on this. So there's here, here, and here. So we are going to be capturing roof runoff, and of course, we wouldn't be opposed to any condition that the board requires that would to keep all stormwater on site. So we certainly can do that.
Okay, those going into dry wells?
Yes, that is correct.
There's actually 4.
4, there's also one for the pool, I believe. Yeah, there's one for the pool. We are reducing, the owner has it determined pervious versus impervious. However, the overall pervious material is being reduced from what's existing. I think there's about 120 square foot reduction in the driveway area over what currently exists. So I think the owner may be looking at crushed shells for the driveway, but again, I don't want to,
I can weigh in on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, the plan that was approved by Conservation, the landscape plan done by Yarmouth Design Group, shows a 3/4 inch native stone with a cobblestone edging. Because the New Seabury doesn't really approve pavement unless there's a special hardship, say handicap or something like that. So that's what was approved. So it is a pervious 3/4 inch native gravel driveway.
and then I know Evan also asked about fill. There's no anticipation of any fill being brought on the property, so we don't anticipate bringing any fill on. He also raised the issue of low-impact development, which I think is usually deals with like rain gardens and those types of infiltration systems. I mean, as I said, we're adding about 1,700 square feet of mitigation plantings. There's no other, rain gardens that are proposed. I don't know that they'd be, appropriate for, this type of, project.
Okay. He also asked on number 2, what is the foundation type, zone AE?
Yeah, so it's a full basement. It can't be habitable. It can't be finished. I know that Dave requires the owners to sign an affidavit or a non-conversion stating that they can't finish the basement, and they understand that.
So standard concrete pour with the smart vents, 1 square foot of foundation footprint equals 1 square inch of venting. So the appropriate smart vents will be in the foundation plan. To let water in, let water out, standard AE construction.
And I would just like to add, floor drains, I would not allow floor drains in there because it's the only use they can use the basement, or is this, we could call this a basement or crawl spaces for building access, limited storage, and storing cars, but there won't be storing cars.
Right.
Floor drain is.
There's no mechanicals, there's a mechanical room, I didn't look at
There's a mechanical in the basement, in that basement crawl space that's above the flood zone elevation.
Hanging most of that.
Right.
Good point.
The panel will be up on the first floor.
Right.
Yeah. I think that the house does border the, I guess you'd call it maybe a canal. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's the.
The water?
Yeah, the water, yeah, there is water.
like a little
waterway. Yes,
canal
the
type
inlet,
thing?
yes, there is an inlet
And I
there.
believe there's some sort of wooden partition or something that holds the water back.
I think there is an existing timber wall
On
at the
waterway,
channel.
you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
retaining wall.
A bulkhead, yes.
Yeah.
So I assume that at one point, all that land was filled in?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. Not by this owner.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
So I'm just thinking about the water levels.
right.
But the bulkhead was permitted prior to the current clients purchasing the property. And Conservation looked at that when we went to them for filing. We also had some concerns by the direct abutter, so this was not a one and done at Conservation. We addressed all their concerns, including having an arborist come in and check out the trees that kind of abut the properties. And they were very, very concerned about water runoff on their property. So that's why, Cape and Islands took the measure they did with these dry wells and the grading plan to satisfy the abutter, which is why we came back a second time to Conservation. So Conservation has fully blessed this plan.
You also said there's 2 driveways?
Yes, there's a driveway parking area, so you have the driveway into the garage here, and then there's another little parking area right here.
So there's 2 curb cuts?
Yes.
Has there always been?
Yes. If you look at the photographs,
Here's the existing. Yep. But it's kind of like, it's
there's
like a
one,
circular
there's one
drive, yeah.
large curb
Here's the
cut.
existing,
Yeah. And this is a New Seabury issue. It's very, very common for us to have sort of a round, sort of horseshoe-shaped driveway. We do it all the time in New Seabury because they do not want parking on the street. So we got to get the cars off. This client did not like that design, and so the landscape architect came up with this design. It's a little bit different. Didn't want that circular, semicircular drive.
Okay. I'm looking at the plans, and I don't see any height on the plan.
Yeah.
The building.
Yeah, so I can tell you that right now, the ridge as designed on the plans that you have is 34 feet 1 inch. So it's about 11 inches below the allowable 35 feet ridge height. And I will make sure that the construction documents that are turned into the building department will have that on there. I'll have average grade on there, as confirmed by the engineer, and maximum building height, and we're about 11 inches below it.
Okay.
I think we need that
I conditioned it.
condition.
Yeah, as long as it's on the plan.
Thank you.
But we always put that on our plans so that the building official is not scratching his head as to where we sit.
That's all I got. I don't have any more questions.
I don't have questions. We think we need to read some things in.
Yeah. Anybody? Questions, comments? Before we go to the audience?
Well, Conservation
Okay.
has approved this application. Board of Health, owners Linda H. and David A. Pierce request this, septic plan has an adequate flow plan shown for 3 bedrooms. We've just addressed Evans.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, and then I have one abutter letter.
Okay.
It's dated November 9th, 2022. Hi, and it's from David Teitelbaum. Hi, Marion. Thank you for sending the plan. I do have a couple questions. One, does the plan ensure enough parking space in addition to the garage? Is there no reduction in parking space from the current dwelling? 2, regarding the proposed retaining wall adjacent to the north side of the plan adjacent to the proposed AC unit, what is the height of the proposed wall? What is it made out of? And does its location conform to the rules regarding distance from the property line? 3, how many floors are being constructed? Does the ground floor level as seen from the east side qualify as a basement or a first floor? Thank you, David Teitelbaum, abutter at 38 Waterway.
Okay, let's do them one at a time. So read the first one again.
Does the plan ensure enough parking space in addition to the garage? Is there no reduction in parking space from the current dwelling?
So I would submit there is sufficient parking. There's a garage, and as we talked about earlier, there's 2.
So what does the town call for?
2
Two
for,
spots,
yeah,
right?
2 for residential,
I think it's
So that's all
been
set.
More than enough room.
right?
asked and answered.
Okay. 2, regarding the proposed retaining wall adjacent to the north side of the plan, adjacent to the proposed AC unit. What is the height of the proposed wall? What is it made out of? And does its location conform to the rules regarding distance from the property line?
So I guess I can let Tim answer that. I know the zoning only requires it to be 5 feet if it's less than 120 square feet and less than 8 or 10 feet in height, so I think that it,
Yeah, and obviously, we weren't prepared for this, we didn't get that letter in advance, so.
So from the street, if you're facing the house, you're talking the left side
yes, so
of
those are
the
retaining.
property, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it, they're talking about an AC unit? You find that on the plan, Scott? Yep.
If you look right here, there's a little retaining wall, the AC unit's here, and then the retaining wall here, and then the steps on the other side.
It's probably, if you look at the elevation,
So is it a cement wall and it's faced with stone, maybe?
Correct.
yep,
Correct. New Seabury is not going to allow it to be plain cement, so it will be, have a true veneer stone.
Okay, how far is it sticking out of the ground?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer because it changes, right? So at the front of the wall, it's only out of the ground, say, 8 or 10 inches. At the back of the wall, I'm going to say, where it becomes a true walkout, that would be approximately 8 feet. Plus or minus.
So
So
does
it's
that,
slope, it's basically you can picture the land, this is, most
Got
of
it.
these lots on waterway are ski slopes, right? So it's going like this, so the retaining wall starts here, comes across like that, and comes down, right? Very typical. So it's tallest when viewed from the water, but when it's viewed from the street, you don't know how tall it is at all, because you can't see it. It's right at grade.
so at 8 feet, does that require a fence?
That's a good question for Dave. I know on other projects, if we have landscaping, but no, this is, the landscape plan calls for a solid wood 4-foot tall fence, which would meet the requirement for fall protection. And that's, again, this is ARC, so that fence would wrap on top of the wall, which would cover everything so that you would not be able to see the AC units or anything behind it.
Okay. Dave, any issues with the 8-foot wall?
Yeah, usually when we have it that high, we want it to fit the setbacks. Now, this is outside the New Seabury special permit?
Yes. But the way the bylaw reads, though, it says, minimum required setback from rear or side property line shall be 5 feet for sheds or similarly non-inhabitable structures not exceeding 120 square feet in floor area or 12 feet in height. So we're less than 12 feet.
Yes, okay, all right, so that, yeah, thanks for reminding me, that's probably a good point. I think we have come to that agreement with these designers, that we measure this wall by the width of the wall, so this is probably 10 inches by, so it doesn't meet the 120, so a 5-foot setback would be.
if there was a whole patio out there being supported by that, then it'd be,
Thanks.
Right.
if they were trying to run a patio out there to make a patio area, then that'd be, an issue,
Right.
because that wall would be.
Right.
That would be considered lot, it'd be structure and lot coverage. But this isn't, based on the bylaw,
It's
it's
just a
not.
retaining wall because of
Yeah.
the slope.
You happy with that explanation?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to include anything in a motion? I don't
Well,
think so.
the plan says it's going to have that 4-foot fence.
That's what it says.
It's on the plan, so.
It's on the plan.
That
It's
would
on the
cover
plan,
it.
it was approved by conservation.
I'm good.
3, how many floors are being constructed? Does the ground level floor, as seen from the east side, qualify as a basement or a first floor?
Okay, I can answer that because we just recently had a meeting with Dave to discuss this story above grade. And it was determined in that meeting that if the lower level was in the flood zone, therefore it is not habitable space, cannot be finished off, the client has to sign off that they cannot finish, then that floor at the lowest level would not constitute a story. So therefore, this would be, by definition and by our discussion that we had, a story and a half.
Okay.
Those are the only questions.
Yep, I was at that meeting.
You good with that? Dave, you're good with that?
Yeah. Those are very good questions, though, too.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else?
And that's it for abutter letters.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Scott, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve 44 Waterway owners Lyndon H. and David A. Pierce requesting a special permit under section 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaws to raise and replace an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on a property located in R3 zoning district, map 105, parcel 208, Mashpee, Mass, with the following conditions. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a special permit under Mass General Law 40A, section 9. Site plan prepared for Linda and David Pierce, sheet 1 of 1, date June 15, 2022, drawn by JVB RLR, checked by MC, prepared by Cape and Islands Engineering, drawing titled Site and Septic Design Plan 9/15/22, add zoning table as requested 8/19/22, add soil test information revised for conservation, signed and stamped by Raul Lizardi Rivera, civil number 46845, and Matt C. Costa, professional land surveyor, number 52282. House plans, Pierce residence job, number 2134, dated July 21st, 2022. Scale is noted, drawn by JM A1 lower level, plan A2, first floor plan, A3, second floor plan, A4, elevation, A5 elevation. Condition on all town department comments read into the record. Also conditioning driveway material to be an impervious material, and also condition that the ridge will remain below the 35-foot height restriction.
And that it'll be on the plan that's turned in.
And the ridge height will be noted on the plan turned into the building department.
Okay, do we have a second?
that.
I'm sorry? Is that a second?
Yeah. Second by Jim.
Okay, Jim's second. George, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Jim?
Chip.
Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Scott?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Great. Thank you
Well
very
done.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Nice to be first.
Exactly.
Going back.
I'm back.
One down. Stand for a couple. Sharon, you're going to sit on the next one.
Okay. Sit all right.
Let's see. 9, isn't it? 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let me know when to come in. I'll sign the plans. Okay, Sharon, would you read the next new hearing, please?
4 Blair Circle, petitioner Keith Gilmore requests a modification to an issued variance V 2022-13 and allowed to change a 16 by 24 addition to a 16 by 23 addition on property located in an R5 zoning district, map 3, parcel 40, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record, Daniel E. Phillips.
Hi.
Hi, good evening. I'm Keith Gilmore, here to represent project for Dan Phillips. So Just doing a simple reduction in the footprint from the previously approved zoning application to, just reduce the, it'll increase the setback from the property, to the street line. So the whole reason in doing this was just basically just a bit of a design modification that happened after the initial approval that we went through here, and so.
Okay, so when was this proposed addition was approved when? Let's see.
No, it
Not
says
sure of
right
the
here.
exact, I don't know if I have that
Yeah, here we
information,
go.
yeah.
February.
I remember this, it was funky lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Variance
So,
2022.
it was
Maybe
only
last
made
March or
smaller,
something?
it was just made smaller because of design on, by you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah,
had
just,
nothing to do
it
with,
is a design
David?
element thing, and, to.
Because it was a
sort of
change.
Stagger the roof lines, and,
okay.
yeah, cut a little bit of construction costs and, shrinking the size of the front dormer of it in the process, so,
But it's
yeah.
nothing Dave said, you guys gotta make this small for some reason, so,
yeah,
Not-
yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
So if anything, it benefits the situation where,
Well, but we approved it before.
Wouldn't this be a minor modification anyway?
I'd say it's a minor modification.
Yeah, I think it's a minor modification.
yeah,
It's just,
Dave, do you have
you're
a
back here
problem?
because
I have no
it's changed
problem with it at
from
all.
what we approved.
yeah.
You know, thanks for coming up.
Okay.
Any comments,
read.
questions here?
Board of Health, not in a Zone 2, an existing septic has adequate flow for a third bedroom to be added. Conservation not in wetlands jurisdiction, and the town planner has no comment.
Okay. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Scott, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve 4 Blair Circle, petition to Keith Gilmore, request a modification to an existing variance, D 2022-13, and allowed to change a 16-foot by 24-foot addition to a 16-foot by 23-foot addition on property located in an R5 zoning district, map 3, parcel 40, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record, Daniel E. Phillips, with the following conditions. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a modification of an approved variance under Mass General Law 48, Section 10. Site plan, 4 Blair Circle, Mashpee, Mass, prepared for Daniel Phillips, scale 1 inch equals 30 feet, October 21st, 2021, prepared by Demarest Land Surveying, revisions 8/29/22, increase addition, 11/22/21, reduce addition. Plans prepared for Dan Phillips, 4 Blair Circle, Mashpee, Mass, date 2/7/22, prepared by Keith C. Gilmore Enterprises LLC, drawn by Keith C. Gilmore, scale 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Page 1, proposed addition, front north elevation. Page 2, left east elevation. Page 3, rear south elevation. Page 4, right west elevation. Page 5, north elevation views, page, north elevation view. Page 6, foundation plan view. Page 7, first floor plan view. Page 8, section floor plan view. Page 9, new roof frame detail plan view. Revision 8/15/22, condition on all town department comments read into the record. The board approves this revised addition change from 16-foot by 24-foot to 16-foot by 23-foot.
Okay, do we have a second? Second. All right, Jim seconds. So Sharon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes. All done?
Thank you.
Feel bad, all those pages of the plans, I didn't even look at them.
Coming back. Me too.
Absolutely.
Bob, you're going to sit on the next one. Okay, Sharon, would you read the next new hearing, please?
525 Main Street. Owners Alden Hines and Lucas Hines request a special permit under 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaws to raise and replace an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 20, parcel 48, Mashpee, Mass.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, Attorney Christopher Corain, representing Alden Hines, the owner of 525 Main Street. I'd just like to make one correction to the notice. It's in the R5 zoning district, not the R3. So I just want to make that clear. So again, R5 zoning district, this is a raise and replace under 174-17.1. We are proposing to knock down another old structure and replace it with a new code compliance structure. The property is non-conforming in one aspect, and that is the front yard setback. And we are proposing a completely conforming structure. So when it's all said and done, it will meet all current zoning criteria. The lot is 80,000 square feet. It has plenty of frontage, so this is a conforming lot in all aspects, and the proposed structure will be conforming in all aspects. So there's no new nonconformities created, plenty of parking, and again, you know, putting up a new code-compliant structure, new Title V, and completely meeting all your zoning requirements. So in that sense, I would suggest that this is a improvement over what currently exists and can be approved by the board. I will note one issue came up with the Board of Health. This is a 5-bedroom septic, so it's 5 bedrooms. The initial plans that were submitted, the Board of Health took an issue that seemed to suggest that there may be as many as 7 bedrooms. There have been revised plans submitted, which I believe have been reviewed by the Board of Health, 5 bedrooms, so no more than 5 bedrooms.
And it shows us the 5 bedrooms on this plan.
On the revised plans that were submitted, correct. And our lot coverage is at 2.5% going to 4.875. So again, the new structure will be completely compliant with current day zoning.
Okay, so I think we also had a question about the building height on the plans.
I have the building height as 34 feet, again, which was under the 35, but certainly I'll make sure that any plan submitted to the, and as a condition of the permit, that plans are submitted showing the correct, the building height.
Yeah, because I'm looking at these and there's no height.
Right. We'll make sure that that's on there.
No, but I'm looking at coming a bit. I think there's still more.
Okay. Any other issues that you, or comments, Dave?
No, I don't have any.
That was the only one, right?
That's the old one.
Yeah, certainly an odd-shaped lot,
Yes,
Very.
yes.
yeah. So, you know,
There's no request for any, as I said, we're making it completely conforming.
But it doesn't have a 6.
you're making it too easy.
I know, right? Wish they were all this easy.
I'm just counting 6 bedrooms, because that bonus room he's probably not counting that as a bedroom, but I don't see the 6-foot opening. It looks like it's simple enough to change it to a 6-foot opening. It's just got a doorway. Unless I'm missing something, I'm counting 6
Okay.
on this revised plan.
As I said, I think Board of Health did review the revised plan.
Board of Health reviewed it and said it's 5.
Well, that's gonna have to go to them anyway when it goes for a building permit, so I'm not gonna condition that.
It's going to go to Dave anyway also.
Correct. Yeah, if there needs to be a condition
I
to,
know they're gonna call that bonus room.
right,
But,
I mean,
yeah,
there's
they-
room to make it a 6-foot opening, too.
right.
It's just,
I just
An adjustment,
conditioned it on
yep.
5 bedrooms in any additional rooms. I don't even know if you have to go
Any questions or comments by anybody on the board?
My opinion, though, I don't know. The Board of Health, no, this is-
Jim, any comments, questions? Scott, you issued yours. Bill?
I'm
You're
good.
I'm good. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments on this?
I do need to write that.
Yeah, let's go over whatever's.
Okay, I see where there was confusion about the game room, or the bonus room.
Bonus room, yeah.
Board of Health says floor plan shows 7 bedrooms, septic is designed for 5. Health agent spoke with Longfellow Designs. This will remove the door to the bonus room and replace with cased opening to void that a bedroom, as a bedroom on the second floor. On the third floor, the office door will be removed into the hall, avoiding the privacy aspect for a bedroom, making the bedroom into the hallway and turning an office into bedroom.
That was on, I saw that on the plan. They made that a clear opening wall to wall. But the bonus room, they just took the door off and made it still a 3-foot opening. It's a minor thing they gotta do, but I know Board of Health's still gonna call it a 6-foot opening.
Yeah. Conservation, lot of butts Mashpee Pond, but project scope is outside of wetlands jurisdiction. And nothing from the town planner.
So, Scott, all you'd have to say is that,
I got it. I think I got it.
good,
Yeah.
okay.
It's just-
Any final comments before we make a motion? Okay, Scott, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve 525 Main Street owners Alden Hines and Lucas Hines request a special permit under section 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaw to raise and replace an existing non-conforming single-family dwelling on a property located in an R5 zoning district, map 20, parcel 48, Mashpee, Mass, with the following conditions. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a special permit under Mass General Law 40A, Section 9. Site plan prepared for Alden Hines, 525 Main Street, Mashpee, Mass, date April 29, 2022, drawn by MD, checked by MC, drawing titled Site and Septic Plan, increase in flow, revision 9/19/22, add 2 compartment tank accessory unit note 9/21/22, add zoning compliance table, signed and stamped by Mark Dibbs, civil number 45937, and Matt Costa, number 52282, Cape and Islands Engineering. House plans, Hines Residence, 525 Main Street, Mashpee, Mass, prepared by Longfellow Design Build. A0.0 cover, A0.1 abbreviations and symbol legend, A1.0 basement plan, A1.1 first floor plan, A1.2 second floor plan, A1.3 third floor plan, A2.1, A2.2, A2.3, A2.4 exterior elevations. Conditioned on all town department comments read into the record, conditioned that there will be a maximum of 5 bedrooms, and conditioned that Board of Health approves the bonus room as not a bedroom.
Okay, Jim seconds. Bob, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim? Yeah. Scott?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Very good. R3 being an R5, is that an issue?
I read it as R5, you knew it said R3. Okay.
Doesn't have to be republished, though.
It's kind of minor.
I don't think so. That doesn't really matter.
George, you're going to be on the next one. Thank you. Okay, we all set? All right, Sharon, would you read the next new hearing?
23 Jeep Place, owners Hans E. and Sarah J. Briggs request a modification to an issued written finding 2021-29 under 174-24C9A of the zoning bylaws to allow for a sink in a ductless AC heat unit on the first floor. Applicant also proposes to reconfigure deck removal and proposes to remove the door between the garage and the dwelling on property located in the Pompanesett Overlay District and R3 zoning district, map 118, parcel 111, Mashpee, Mass.
Good evening again, Attorney Christopher Corain for Hans and Sarah Brings of 23 Jeep Place. They are looking to modify an existing written finding that was issued to them back in 2021. I think they're pretty minor modifications being required, or being requested. As I say, we're looking for a slop sink in the garage, a ductless mini split unit also for the garage, remove the interior door between the garage and the house, and then also they're looking to reconfigure the deck from what was approved. Note, the lot coverage will be what was approved, no changes, simply just a reconfiguration.
So they're removing part of the deck
Yep.
and the shed?
The shed is gone.
The shed's gone.
Okay, well, I see it on this plan.
Why do they have to come
Shed
to
to
us
be
about this?
removed.
Why do they have to come to us about the sink and the ductless heat?
Because the original application required no, there was no mechanicals in the garage or the upstairs. So, in order to put the mechanicals in, which I don't have a problem, it's not in a flood zone, so the floor drain is okay. I don't have a problem with that, nor do I have a problem with the heating system in the garage, but the storage is to remain unheated and unfinished.
So, no heat.
Well, it's a mini ductless heat, it's a heating system.
That's in the garage part.
Garage.
But there's a room
Not-
above.
But you can't finish the garage. You can't make it a usable space, correct?
Above.
That's
We're
not the
talking
intent,
above
or
it.
no, that's just, no, that's, yeah, it's not to be a habitable space. Neither is the, above, the storage above. The storage
No
above
heat or
is-
AC in the storage area above the garage.
I think that's already part of
and
the original
and the-
permit.
The deck is being, some of it's being removed to fit the 20% lot coverage, actually 30% lot coverage.
Because it's a small lot.
Yep.
But I have the condition that the garage cannot be finished.
Garage cannot be finished. The space above the garage.
Not heated or AC. It's a storage space only.
Dave, you don't have problems with any of this, right?
No, with what's proposed, no.
Are they asking to put a floor drain? Why would they put a floor drain in?
They want to put a slop sink.
So it's gonna drain, through to the septic?
Yeah,
Okay, I got you. When you said floor drain, I thought you meant just a drain on the floor. I was confused why you're letting them do that. Okay.
Got it.
Got it now.
Okay. Anybody questions, comments? Anybody on the board? No?
Remember this one?
No comments from anybody.
Anybody in the audience?
Conservation and.
Yeah, let's read some stuff in.
Conservation, not in wetlands jurisdiction.
That's surprising.
Health.
Board of Health, not a habitable space, no increase in septic flow, storage area cannot be used as a bedroom. And nothing from Evans.
I think that's good enough. It's for heat.
Okay, everybody good? Okay.
That's town departments. The two conditions that I put in, which is,
He doesn't need to read in, it's already been
Board of Health,
conditioned.
it was the exact same thing I was saying.
Exactly.
All right,
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
you check with anybody, comments?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd love to make a motion to approve 23 Jeep Place owners Hans and Sarah J. Brings. Request a modification to an issued written finding 2021-20-29 in the section 174-24C9A of the zoning bylaws to allow for sink and ductless AC heat unit in the first floor. Applicant also proposes to reconfigure deck removal and proposes to remove the door between the garage and the dwelling on the property located in the Pompanesett Overlay District in R3 zoning district, map 118, parcel 111, Mashpee, Mass. With the following conditions. Board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a modification to an existing written finding under Mass General Law 40A, Section 6. Site plan prepared for Hans and Sarah Brings, project 23 Cheat Place, Mashpee, Mass. Sheet number 1 of 1, date March 5th, 2021. Revision date 9/27/2022. Revised structure removal and add approved septic prepared by Cape and Islands Engineering, stamped and signed by Matt C. Costa, number 52282, professional land surveyor. Design plans, 23 Jeep Place, Mashpee, Mass. Design, proposed garage with storage above, prepared by JB Design, date 7/15/21, stamped and signed by Paul Swanson, structural professional engineer, date 1/3/22, conditioned on all town department comments read into record.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll give it to Jim. George, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim? Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Sharon, you're going to sit on the next one.
Okay.
Stuff this up. There you go.
So does that mean his son is now paying?
Kevin started that one? Everything through?
Moving right along, huh?
There you go, there you go.
Do those need to be initialed by the
I don't think, yeah, this is, I have no idea.
That's a question for
I
someone.
was giving him a ride home.
Don't know.
I would think. Was it Scott? It was.
No, I'm here, the only one I gotta leave for is industrial, because I'm,
What do I ask
I'm
Chris right now?
industrial in the butter.
That's the last one? Yeah, but you got a state no problems.
You know what I'm doing. I'll be waiting on the guy.
He's checking up.
I don't see the ride home. I guess this is just- so, okay, from what I understand.
Yeah, because it's changed the plan. Who's to say they made the change? Simple as that. All right, where are we now? We all set?
We all set?
All right, Sharon, would you read the next new hearing?
18 Wilson Grove, petitioner Greg Clancy Construction requests a modification to an issued special permit SP 2022-6, under 174-24, C9D, to change the second floor porch into an enclosed office space and adding 6 windows. No change in footprint on property located in the Pompanesett Overlay District and R3 zoning district, map 118, parcel 72, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record, Laurie and Joseph Manicelli.
Good evening.
Hold on one second.
Yep.
I'm interested in that. Oh, anything I should be looking for?
Gonna call in.
Okay. Anything I should look for? Will it flash or anything? Or?
You just have to pick up the receiver and press conference call.
We'll do that.
I told him to text me when,
Okay. I'm not gonna worry about it.
but I don't see a text.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No worries. My name is Shannon. I'm representing Greg Clancy Construction as well as Joe and Lori Mancinelli. As you can see on the plans, it's a simple change where we're just going to alleviate the front, it's the face of the house, it faces the road. They want to enclose what we were going to have as a roof deck off the master bedroom, and she's going to make that into her office space. It will have, I believe it's a 6-foot opening, cased opening. 5068CO is on the plans. I believe that's a 6-foot. It was going to be a double door slider.
Structural stuff?
So,
I'm not seeing the enclosed space. I'm seeing the roof deck.
yeah,
I have,
So in the front,
I have 2.
so
I
you
see the
have,
So the
front,
elevation
and it's got
has-
the red
So-
circle
Like
around
a
it.
porch.
so that was the original plan
Okay.
that we had approved. She has another set.
Oh,
This
this
is
is,
the other-
this is, okay, I don't have the new set. You got the new set. That's what.
Oh,
There's
that's
2
the
sets.
old set?
I have the
Yeah,
old
so I
set.
gave, so when I turned in, I gave the original
Here you go,
plans that
Stuart.
were approved for the special
Thank you.
permit, as well as the proposed
I'm
new
caught up
set.
now.
Okay.
Oh, we got the new one.
Is this the new or the old?
I got the old, want to see the old one? There's the old one. Now I see it. It's very minor
I think
modification.
we got the new.
And actually, this room is a continuation of the master bedroom.
Correct.
So you really don't need a 6-foot opening,
Okay.
just as a comment.
Yeah, like I said, it was gonna be a double door to go out
Yeah.
onto the roof deck that she now wants to enclose and make it a
Going
more,
from-
Yeah, because it can't be a
From
bedroom
here
anyway, so.
to here.
Because it's through the bedroom, and it's not big enough
Right.
to qualify as a bedroom. That's the only change?
that's it. There's no change to the footprint,
Yeah, it's just
Nothing.
enclosing that space.
and we're adding the
I
6
don't-
windows.
Dave, you don't see.
I don't
much
have
of
any
it.
issues.
Okay.
It's pretty minor.
But that room is gonna be part of the bedroom?
Yeah,
It's,
it
yes,
continues.
it's right off the master bedroom.
So it's not gonna be a separate?
It wouldn't qualify as a bedroom anyway because of the size of it. I don't think it meets the square footage, but even then, you have to walk through the bedroom to get into it.
Get into it, so
can't
you
get it
can't have a
another way.
bedroom.
So you can't have a bedroom through a
You
bedroom.
can't have a bedroom to a bedroom.
It's a continuation of the bedroom.
Got it.
That's why, no 6 foot is required.
That's why I'm saying, they can do whatever they want, but
I
you
agree.
have to have a 6-foot.
So nothing else changes, the roof deck in the
No,
back stays?
everything
all the
else is
rest of it-
staying the same.
Easy enough?
Evan has comments on this one.
Okay,
Yeah, he does.
all right. Before we get to Evans, do we have anybody else that has
I got
comments?
0.
I
Unless
don't.
unless Evan has some.
Yeah, Sharon, you're on this one.
Yes. Board of Health, not a habitable space, no increase in septic flow, storage area cannot be used as a bedroom. Property lies within the 100-year floodplain, but all proposed work is interior, immediate exterior, no permit required from conservation. We ready for Evan?
I don't know, now I'm nervous.
Makes 2 of us.
So I have a question. you read the Board of Health and it says not a habitable space, even though it's going to be, because it's part of the
Well, I
bedroom.
think he meant it's not an increased, like it has to, it wouldn't affect the septic system. I think that's what he meant by that. It's not an increase in habitable space, like an
I
additional
think,
bedroom.
I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just-
I know, it's just poorly written.
Hey, well, he's new.
Okay,
We can't judge on that.
all right, so we got Board of Health, Conservation, everything all set there?
Yeah, everything's set with a,
All right, let's go to,
We're gonna hear Evans still.
Town planner.
Evan,
let's go to Evan.
Who is Evan?
Town planner.
Oh,
town
good.
plan.
Oh, good.
Okay. He has no major concerns, he just wants to point a few things out. One, subjectively, I felt that the balcony porch originally approved did a lot in terms of the home's character in relationship to the street, thus benefiting the overall neighborhood streetscape. Proposed modifications to enclose the space, in my opinion, distracts from the visual interest created by the original design. Now, with every modification to a raise and replace special permit, it's important that the ZBA consider detriment only in consideration of what existed previously. So my question to the board is the enclosure of the deck balcony that was originally approved result in a structure that is more detrimental than existed previously? If yes, the board should vote no. If no, the board should approve the request to modify, but only after that finding is made.
Dad appearance.
Okay.
Dad appearance.
2,
Why don't we address these one at a time?
okay.
Why don't we? I've got no issue in closing it. I think it looks fine.
I have no issue.
And if I had an issue, it's not our, I don't think as a zoning board, we have a choice of making decisions on how the outside of the house looks.
Well, it's more detrimental.
Detrimental.
I don't think it's more detrimental than what's
I don't either.
previously there or what's on that street.
Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder.
Thank you.
Sharon, any issues?
I have no issues.
Can I make
All
a
right.
comment on it? So when looking at the neighborhood, the house that was originally there was like tiny compared to the other structures on either side. So what we did is we basically brought the home up to, eye level, so it actually matches the rest of the homes alongside that, and kind of gave them that visual, so that way they can still see out to the water and, still have that similar.
I agree. That's when I said I don't think it's more detrimental than what's
That's right.
already on that street.
So
That's a
Right.
tough street as it is.
We're all in
It is.
agreement on that.
Fantastic.
All right. Are we ready for 2?
Sure.
Yes.
I noted a relatively sizable roof deck / window walk on the building's elevation. Roof decks in Mashpee may not be permitted in excess of 100 square feet. If the originally approved raise and replace approved a roof deck of greater than 100 square feet, then the decision results in the creation of a new nonconformity without a variance. This needs to be discussed with the applicant, building commissioner, and the ZBA as to how to rectify that conflict, if I'm correct to assume it exceeds 100 square feet.
I'd just like to say one thing. We're not here to hear that tonight. We're here to hear what they've petitioned us for.
It's
If we made a ruling that was incorrect, I assume you'll pick it up during the building process.
It's over 100
Yeah,
square
I
feet.
mean, well, yeah, I guess the interpretation of a roof deck being 100 feet is in question, I'd have to say, because it does say that a traditional widows walk up to 100 feet, but roof decks will be permitted only if located on the top, first, or second story of any building. So does that mean that has to be 100%? I think at the time when we did this, the interpretation was that a roof deck didn't have to be at 100%,
That's
maybe
what I
that could.
thought, because that's not a
maybe that
widow's
could be-
walk. That's a roof deck, not a widow's walk.
It's not a widow's walk. A widow's walk is specified at 100 feet. I think we can, going forward, we could maybe reinterpret that or tighten this up a little bit, but I don't know if it actually says that it needs to be 100 feet.
100 square feet or less.
'Cause I know we've approved roof decks
There
before
are
that
two
way.
different things.
We had one that wrapped all the way around the house. They walked up with them, and it was, and I know we've approved those in the past.
Yeah, I guess my major point is, that's not up for hearing tonight.
No, absolutely
That's,
not.
yeah, I understand that.
That really is not up for hearing.
the concern from-
The petitioner has come in to request a minor modification to something that we already approved. And it has nothing to do with the roof deck.
Right.
So if a mistake was made by us or by anybody on the roof deck, that's not up for question tonight. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with your opinion. I agree.
Yeah, I agree too.
Is that it on Evans?
That's
Oh,
it for
okay.
Evan.
Okay. All right, anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, concerns? No one? The guy never called in either, did he?
No, I gave him my phone.
Did you want to check?
Do you want me to check it?
Sure, you can do
Just
that.
hit conference call?
Yeah, just press that and just,
Hello? Nobody-
okay.
Oh,
I gave him my numbers.
Okay. Cover everything?
think so.
I got read everything that
Got
needed
all
to be
the-
read.
yeah, I think-
That's
No
it?
letter letters, right?
Nope.
Oh,
Yeah. I've got no concerns.
Ready for me?
Yeah, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve 18 Wilson's Grove petitioner Greg Clancy Construction requesting a modification to an issued permit SP-2022-06 under section 174-24C 9D to change the second floor porch into an enclosed office space and adding 6 windows, no change in footprint on property located in the Pompanesett Overlay District in R3 zoning district, map 118, parcel 72, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record, Laurie Mancinelli and Joseph Mancinelli, with the following conditions. The board accepts the modification to the issued special permit under Mass General Law 40A, Section 9. House plans prepared for Mancinelli residence, 18 Wilson's Grove, Mashpee, Mass., prepared by Clancy Construction Incorporated, revision date 10/3/2022, conditioned on all town department comments read into record.
All right, Jim seconds. Sharon, how do you vote?
yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bob, you're going to sit on the next one. All right. Stamp away.
Item modifications.
I have more paper around here.
Here you go, sir. No, it's fine. I had a good run going. Just, that ended. Thank you. Comments? No comments. Awesome.
We all set?
No, hang around with the comments.
We have to be, you don't have
No, I don't have any.
to.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Bob, you're going to sit on this one. Sharon, would you read the next new hearing?
42 Spoon Drift Way, joint stipulation of reprimand hearing ordered from Superior Court Barnstable, SS, in accordance with the August 25th, 2022 Civil Action Number 2272CV00191, decision of the Board dated April 13th, 2022, owners BEC MA Properties LLC request a special permit under 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaws to raise an existing single-story residential structure and replace the same with a new two-story residential structure on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 111, parcel 127, Mashpee, Mass.
It's just one.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Can't escape.
There you go. Too
Christopher,
cold to play golf now anyway.
Attorney Kevin Corain, standing in for Christopher Corain, in regard to the remand order from a Superior Court civil action, which was filed in response to a 3-2 vote denial of a permit, special permit seeking to raise and replace the single-family residential structure. It's my understanding that subsequent to the filing of the lawsuit, discussions were had with town council, with the Conservation Commission, and it was my understanding that initially there were some reservations or concerns relative to the coastal bank being connected from one side to another. The plan that you have before you shows that at the recommendation of the Conservation Commission, 2 additional drainage basins were added to the plan, and I believe there's correspondence from Drew or emails from Drew indicating that in his opinion, these additional measures add greater protection to the modification to the coastal bank that was initially approved by the Conservation before we came, before this project was brought to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the raise and replace project.
Yeah. Sharon, do you have that from Conservation?
Conservation.
Tell you what, I have it.
You have it?
Yeah, it's from Drew McManus,
Okay.
dated Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 11:03 a.m. And it's again from Andrew McManus to Christopher Corain. And subject is 42 Spoondurf Way, Mashpee, special permit denial, confidential litigation, settlement correspondence. Good morning. Chris, thank you for providing the revised plans showing the proposed dry wells.
Nice.
I believe these should provide sufficient flood storage capacity on the property to alleviate any concerns of flooding. Sincerely, Drew McManus, Town of Mashpee Conservation Agent. So in fact, they do not have an issue with it.
Nope.
Okay. Was that the only
That's the only
thing
one.
that was in question?
I believe that, that originally the former town engineer had raised an issue that was interpreted to have an adverse impact on the coastal bank. I wasn't here, but that was my understanding, and because the coastal banks were being connected. And so the concern, I believe, of the board at the time, or at least the 2 dissenting members of the board, was the impact on the coastal bank. These additional the Conservation Commission had no problem in the first instance with the changes that were being made to the coastal bank, and had in fact issued an order of conditions in order to do that. So it was the position of the applicants that there was no substantial impact or adverse impact by the project. And in fact, that coastal bank could have been modified before we even came to the Zoning Board of Appeals pursuant to the Conservation Commission's order of conditions. So arguably, that wouldn't even have come into play if we had just come for the special permit after that work had been done. So I believe that the conservation issue or the conservation concerns were the only concerns that the board had because one, initially a variance was sought for lot coverage and for front yard setback. The plan was modified to remove the need for variance relief, and the only other nonconformity, I believe, is the westerly property line nonconformity that was 4.5 feet and now is being increased to 11.9 or something along those lines. So we're improving that nonconforming condition as well. So in all other respects, the project conformed. The lot is less than 10,000 square feet if you take out the, anything coastal bank and below, so we're allowed to go to the 25%. In fact, the original lot coverage, taking that into consideration, was over 25%. The lot coverage is now being reduced to 24.9. So I believe that the project is consistent with what the board would typically approve. I believe additional measures have been taken to address any concerns over the impact of the wetland resource area. And I believe town council is satisfied with that, and now leaves it up to the board on remand to make a determination.
Okay, so they sent it back to us.
Sent it
They've
back.
agreed, and we have a new motion.
Right.
That all we have to do is read it and approve or deny it, so.
Right.
Did I miss anything on this?
No, you'd be approving or denying the request for special permit relief based upon the revised plan.
Based on the new information.
The revised plan showing the additional dry wells.
Okay, before we get to that, does anybody have any comments on the board? Okay, anybody in the audience? Okay, I think we're ready for a motion.
So this is all based on the new plan and the new comments from the conservation.
Right, and the comments from the Conservation Commission have been incorporated into the new plan. So the dry wells that were called for by Drew and
And they're on
are
the
shown
plan.
on the new plan.
Yep. I just wanted to make that clear to everybody
Say
on the
that we're
board.
approving the, does it say that on the motion that we're approving the new plan as
Yes.
revised?
Yep.
Yep, I see it, okay.
Yep,
Okay.
all right, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve 42 Spoondrift Way, joint stipulation of remand hearing ordered from Superior Court, Barnstable, SS, in accordance with the August 25th, 2022 civil action number 2272 CV00191, decision of the board dated April 13th, 2022, owners BECMA Properties LLC, requests a special permit under section 174-17.1 of the zoning bylaws to raise an existing single-story residential structure and replace the same with a new two-story residential structure on property located in R3 zoning district, map 111, parcel 127, Mashpee, Mass, with the following conditions. The board agrees to accept the joint stipulation of remand for 42 Spoondrift Way filed August 25th, 2022, and signed on September 27th, 2022. The board finds that the revised plan submitted adequately addresses flood storage capacity. The board finds that the revised project meets the conditions of section 174-17.1 in that there are no new nonconformities created, there is a sufficient land area for parking, and the project is not substantially more detrimental than what currently exists. Site plan prepared for 42 Spoondrift Way, Mashpee, Mass, scale 1 inch equals 10 feet, dated November 17th, 2021. Revisions, 8/16/22 show dry wells 2 at Seaward site of structure, 4/5/22, revised, reduce structure dimensions, 1/19/22, show spot elevations for average grade calculations, 12/9/21, show coastal bank 50-foot, 100-foot offsets, 7/30/21, and proposed contours, labels, and trees to be removed, 7/14/21, revised house footprint, update lot coverage. And it says take roll call for vote.
Yep, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Bill seconds. And we're gonna have Bob. Bob, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Jim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Jim votes yes?
Yes.
Okay. Scott?
Yes.
And Bill?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
It's a pleasure to be with you all again.
Thanks for coming back.
Nice to see you.
I thought you were just Chris's ride.
Giving him some pointers out there or what?
Yeah, right.
Here you go. Okay. Send those down. Stamp those up.
You get it?
Right.
Dry wells? Yeah, this says dry wells on it. Here's the motion.
Mini plans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who's going to do the readings?
I think he said George. I think he said George. There you go. I think he said George. I'm sure George will be aware. You're gonna do the motion on next one? You have it?
I got it.
You're coming back for it.
No, he's not. Bob.
I'm gonna leave. Look, Holly? I gotta hang around for that?
I'd like you to. Yeah, especially when you.
Okay. But there's no motion.
Yeah, there
Yeah, there
is.
is.
I don't have it in my,
I have one.
right here.
For what?
Okay,
Match.
Scott's going to recuse himself on the next hearing, and taking his place will be George. And let's see, since, 1, 2, 3, how about George and Sharon? So there'll be 3 of us plus you 2, there'll be 5. Okay, Sharon, would you read the last new hearing?
89 Industrial Drive, remand hearing ordered from Land Court Barnstable case number 20, MISC 000209, DRR dated September 19th, 2022. Petitioner Stephen P. Hines requests a special permit under 174-24C, 174-25D1, 174-25G6, G9, G13, and G14 of the zoning bylaws to allow for the construction of a 9,680 square foot steel building for the use of contractors' bays, warehouses, storage, office, and other allowed special permit use on property located in an I-1 zoning district and 89 Industrial Drive, map 88, parcel 27, Mashpee, Mass, owner of record 11 Industrial Drive LLC.
Hi.
Hi, George McCool for the petitioner Stephen P. Hines and 89 Industrial Drive. And my name is Christopher Senni. I represent Jack and Susan Fish, who live at 13 Nancy Lane, which abuts the property that is the subject of the 2020 permit.
Very good.
We're,
Who would like to start it off?
I'm happy to.
Go right ahead.
It's good to be back in front of you. Thank you very much for putting this matter on your agenda and scheduling a public hearing. As you may recall, in May of 2020, the board granted a permit to Mr. Hines and his company, 11 Industrial Drive LLC, to construct a 9,000 square foot contractor bay building at 89 Industrial Drive. My clients had me participate in that public hearing. It was a 2-night or 2-session public hearing. I appeared at both hearings and expressed some concerns about adverse impacts. The board listened and incorporated some of our concerns. We were not satisfied enough. We appealed that to the land court. Attorney McCool has represented Stephen Hines, and I've represented the Fishes. We've gone through that process. We've worked with your town council, and we have come to a settlement. There is a written signed settlement agreement, which I believe your council has shared with you.
Yep.
And the judge at the land court has remanded it to you for your consideration of the incorporation of a handful of possible changes to the special permit, which the parties have agreed to. I do think these fall into the category of relatively minor changes. There are 5 of them. You may recall that Mr. Hines had already installed a row of evergreen trees right at the chain link fence along my client's property line. He did that before he even applied for a special permit. You incorporated into the permit, you granted a requirement that he plant a second row of trees at 19 feet back. And we have agreed that we would like it to be a condition that those be staggered, so that they be offset from one another to provide a little bit greater degree of screening. We've also agreed that the 19 feet should be a natural buffer, and there shouldn't be any work going on in there or storage of materials. As you may recall, my clients had hoped for a 50-foot buffer, and you felt that 19 feet was sufficient, and we've agreed that it is, but within that 19 feet, we've agreed that there shouldn't be structures built or materials stored. The operating hours, and also within that buffer, there's an obligation that if some of those evergreen trees die, they will be replaced by the applicant. With regard to operating hours, you had set 6:30 to 6:30, 7 days a week. We've agreed to change only Sundays, changing that from 6:30 to 6:30 to 9 to 4. And then we've agreed to a privacy fence, which would be built in addition to and right on my client's side of the existing chain link fence. That would be 6 feet tall, and we've incorporated into the draft modification the specifications for that fence. And finally, there's a provision that we suggest adding that when there are power tools used, and you may recall that within the definition of a contractor's bay building, fabrication of sub-assemblies is allowed. So in theory, while these bays might be more likely used for storage, they could be used to fabricate sub-assemblies. So we've added a condition that if power tools are used or backup alarms are operated, that will be done inside the bays with the bay door closed. So those are the 5 changes that the parties have agreed to, and the court has asked your board to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and it's got, what, A through F? Mm-hmm. Did you cover all of those?
I think you just did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I covered the conditions that were enumerated in the settlement agreement.
Yeah, so there's 6 of them, A through F. So I don't think we really need to read them in, but we
I
can
think we can
reference
attach this as a part of the record.
this.
This is the, whatever that's called. We'll
Yeah,
incorporate
conditional
that as a
mutual
document.
release and settlement agreement. So it goes on, it talks about release of all claims, no admission of liability, entire agreement, enforcement of this agreement, goes on and on and on.
Yeah, it's just a big legal document, but I think A through F is the pertinent part for us to consider in voting tonight. Agreed.
And there is a draft that started with Mary Ann's original Word document, which she sent to town council. I incorporated these terms. It was approved by Attorney McCool and town council, and that is before your board. There is a modified permit, actually, that's on the original file, and it has incorporated into it those A through F changes.
Got it.
Got it.
Now, are those the only changes, A through F? What about, I see chicken coop, noise pollution, et cetera.
Yes.
Is that a change?
No, only A through F are incorporated into the special permit. These are private contractual terms between the parties. So, for example, the chicken coop, in this agreement, Mr. Hines has agreed not to press his complaint that the chicken coop on my client's property is too close to the property line. But that's not being incorporated into your special permit. You're only adjusting your permit to cover the items that are appropriate for a special permit, and those are A through F. The other issues that you see in the settlement agreement are a private concern. We wanted to share the settlement agreement with.
So if the chicken coop problem arose, you wouldn't be coming back to us?
No.
It won't be, if it did come back to the town in any form, you're not bound by this agreement, but if Mr. Hines were to lodge a complaint about the chicken coop, he might be violating a private agreement, which would be up to my clients to raise in a court, but it doesn't involve the town. The town will still execute all of your laws relative to nuisance or zoning violations. So this doesn't in any way affect town function. It's just while we were settling possible changes to the special permit, we settled up on the other issues that were.
Okay, both sides agree to this?
Absolutely. Yes.
No issue.
Easy enough. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
No one has comments.
Anybody in the audience have any comments? Nothing. George, would you like to make a motion?
Conservation, by the way, has no wetlands
Yeah, there
jurisdiction.
were no comments, yeah.
George, would you make a
I'd
motion?
like to make a motion, the board agrees to the amended special permit conditions set forth in sections 1, items A through F of the conditional mutual release and settlement agreement of the remand order dated September 19, 2022. And this calls for a roll call.
Second.
Okay, so we have a second by Sharon. So George, how do you vote?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes.
Yes.
Jim, yes. Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you
We
very
all
much.
done?
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, some stuff to sign. Oh, is there a signed one, a copy of it that we need to sign off?
Yeah, we have to sign, don't we?
Yeah, but I'm talking about this last page being signed by both parties. See what I'm saying?
I have my agenda.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
I lost my agenda, but I
You know what I'm saying? It's a document that's not signed.
I have these. I have these.
Signed in the right place.
I would think we do.
Pass the word along.
Whose name do I sign, yours or mine?
Yep, yeah, that's all ready.
Yeah.
Who's got the
Signed in the right place.
I will sign in the right place.
We have an issue there?
I know.
No, Scott's name isn't even on here.
Thought I was out, he pulled me back in. I don't know why he wanted me here. Okay. I threw everything away. I don't have the motion, you're doing the motion, if there's a motion.
There is a motion.
I don't have it, so you got it now.
No, I'll give you the motion. Don't worry, I have it for you. Scott,
I'll see you in a minute.
let me find it for you.
All right, date is,
You don't get out of it easy.
Evidently not. Bonby gets to leave whatever he wants.
Bobby does whatever he wants. There you go. Here's Mashpee Commons.
We have the names.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I read everything you put out.
I already announced you in the beginning, but you weren't here.
I know.
So my question to you is, have you seen enough that we could okay this tonight?
Your
representing your town?
He's the town consultant.
So,
Yeah, we have a replacement town engineer.
where'd he go? He what?
I think it was, I think it is, I'm not sure. He's gonna make the motion.
Whatever else.
Thank you for the,
That is, how about I'm 75%?
what's going on 151?
Oh, that's right. Those funky business owners.
Coming in the future.
Place of the-
I've already had several work sessions. No. Most recent one. Where I learned a whole bunch of things.
There's something wrong with the resolution. There's something wrong with the resolution. Just letting you know.
All right. So is this, where is, okay, what do we,
Very yellow. It is yellow.
vote required? Okay.
It's yellow.
Bullish, yeah.
So we can vote anyway, even if it's not required. That way we're covered. Yeah.
It does require.
I would think so, but it's another business, it's not,
No, but it says it's requiring.
The password is on the computer. Huh?
Trader Joe's.
I don't know about Trader Joe's. Scott knows about Trader Joe's.
I don't know what's going on with Trader Joe's. I only know that it's proposed, I don't know what's going on with it. I know we approved it
But it is a medical building.
as a medical building. I haven't seen anything come back to it for a change of use.
I want Trader Joe's.
It's approved,
Share the corner here with you.
Come back to us.
I have, nothing's come back here.
Commerce Department said, you guys,
We approved a driveway off of, when you go into the,
John's Fishing?
No, no, it's over
Off
by
of,
Rockland Trust.
where the condos are behind, we take a right at Rockland Trust,
I remember doing that.
and then we approved the driveway to go in behind it, and it exit on to 28, but nothing's, it has to come back for a change of use. So I haven't seen anything.
But I want one.
Oh, everybody does. It'd be great. I'm sure the Roche Brothers people don't want one.
They don't.
They don't want it, but I want one.
But Roche was at, remember when they built their place, or tried to get approved for there, Star Market was over there, and they tried to fight them. They bought a lot in my neighborhood to be in a butter. No problem. They sat on a lot, they said they could be in a butter. What's that?
Where was it?
Where, kind of where Panera is now. There used to be a Star Market.
Yeah, there used to be a Star Market there, yeah. I used to use it all the time.
Used to be
Because it was
Christie's, if you want to go
small.
way back, it was a Christie's Market.
Oh, I was there when there was Christie's, I remember. Christie's, yeah, I remember
It was
Christie's.
a long time ago.
Sharon, I'm gonna have you sit on this one,
Okay,
so it'll be S5 here.
okay.
So
Are we
before,
ready?
before we get started, again, would like to introduce Ed Pesci from Pesci Engineering, and he is representing the town regarding the engineering matters tonight. So would you read the other business, Sharon?
First other business, Mashpee Commons Limited Partnership, MCLP, and Jobs Whiting Trust, JWT, request approval of the final site plan for sub-phase 1B, 1C, and 1D of the build-out of Phase 1 in accordance with Section 4, decision and condition of the Chapter 40B comprehensive permit vote required.
Thanks for bearing with me while I work through the technical difficulties. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Tom Ferranti. I'm here on behalf of Mashpee Commons Limited Partnership and Job's Whiting's Trust to get into the phase approval of 1B through 1D. Do I need the microphone, or are we?
You're good.
I hear you.
You all been provided with a packet of information.
Sorry.
Yeah, probably the public can't hear you.
Oh, that's fine.
Just on
Sometimes I
TV.
talk loud enough, but this actually keeps it so I'm not using my hands so much. You all have been provided with a packet of information that includes a number of documents. There's some architectural plans, civil plans, a lot of background information of what we're proposing. And what we thought was we would take this opportunity to, rather than go through 51 sheets of civil design and architectural design, put together a brief little presentation to kind of touch on the highlights of what we submitted in the hopes of getting to that final approval from the ZBA to start the next steps. As a refresher for the ZBA, this area, which is also known as the Job's neighborhood, is phase 1 of the comprehensive permit. Now, phase 1 was broken up into 4 subphases: 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. 1A was advanced back in 2014, 2015, and 2016. I think the final letter of approval was 2016. And we are here to get into the remaining 3 subphases of phase 1. The site plan has been tweaked and adjusted slightly as far as the building layouts are concerned. But for context, we wanted to reflect what is the phase 1A area again, so that the board really can have a differentiation between what has been done with the existing permit and what is being proposed now. And as far as the color coding is concerned, the yellow is phase 1A, and everything that's in blue is what we're here to talk about tonight. Within phase 1A, there were 8 buildings, 52 units, and about 14,000 square feet of commercial space. Of those 8 buildings, 4 have already been constructed and occupied with 32 units and about 8,100 square feet of commercial space. There are 4 buildings left to complete phase 1A as we move into the remaining subphases. And this is an aerial view that, again, shows the context of sort of where we are and where we're going. Instead of the buildings on the east side of Market Street right now, we have a small dog park that's just a placeholder while we finish up the design and the concepts for the remaining buildings along Market Street. This is the updated site plan, the use plan. This is a very similar version to what the board saw back in July when we started this process of re-engaging on 1B through 1D. There are 26 buildings shown on this site plan, as opposed to I believe there were 33 before. So we've gotten a little bit more efficient and more effective with our design and our layout. There are still 127 units in these 3 subphases, as was originally permitted with the phase 1 program. Of those 26 buildings, there are 6 different building types. This is included in your packet of information in the architectural set from Union Studios. And each one of those buildings is reflected in a couple different areas on the site plan. Now, within this document, it shows the instances and then reference back to the site plan to show where those buildings are located. The buildings have 2, 4, 6, or 7 units within the buildings. Some are studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. Now, within the packet, there's also more detailed information about the individual building elevations and building floor plans. This is a representation of a typical building facade that one might see that we've proposed. The vernacular architecture fits with what we've already designed. It fits with the architectural code. That was an exhibit to the original comprehensive permit, and the typical materials that one would see on those buildings are included here as well. Within the 127 units, and I know this is hard to see up here, but again, it's in your packet if you want to look at it in a little bit more detail. Of the 127 units, There are 5 blocks that we've kind of identified here, and then there are multiple unit types and bedroom types. And this spreadsheet is meant to demonstrate the distribution of the affordable units amongst the various unit types and the various blocks. So for example, while it's hard to see on the screen, there are 15 studio units that are proposed, and 4 of those units would be affordable. 64 one-bedrooms proposed, and 16 would be affordable. And on the right-hand side, it shows the distribution of affordable units amongst the blocks. For Block A, for example, there are 32 units, and 7 of those would be affordable. But what it all boils down to is that there are 127 units included in 1B through 1D, of which 32 need to be affordable, and this spreadsheet demonstrates how that 32 is met. In addition to the affordable units, there's also a requirement to have 5% Group 2 accessible units. And this also demonstrates where the Group 2 accessible units would be, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and which block they would be in. Now, the part that we've worked with Ed Pesci pretty extensively, because as we've all seen in the past, it's not a simple civil engineering set. We have a fully designed set from Horsley Witten that gets into all of the civil documents for Phase 1. We had to demonstrate very early on in this process when we did Phase 1A how the entirety of the system would work, and this has just been an update to that set of plans as we got into some of the adjustments of building locations. But a lot of what we did is we've had some learned experiences, and there are more effective ways to treat certain things, and that's been reflected in the plans. We've had a couple meetings with Ed. We've gotten a lot of constructive feedback from Ed with some questions and some comments that he had. I would say a lot of it, Ed has been sort of understanding the differentiation between 1B and what we're doing now. And this plan I put up just so that everyone could see that this is the utility plan that includes the water, the wastewater, the storm, all of those pieces combined. And it's a very, very detailed design with a 510-page stormwater report that we won't go through in detail tonight. One of the things that we have to demonstrate with our project is that we meet both the parking requirements of the comprehensive permit and the wastewater treatment of the comprehensive permit. The comprehensive permit breaks our parking requirement down into spaces that are required for residential units and spaces that are required for commercial units. Now, we don't have any commercial space in 1B through 1D. This is all residential in here. And this spreadsheet shows that we meet and actually exceed the parking requirements of the comprehensive permit. There are 244 spaces required, and there are 246 provided in the off-street spaces for the residential units. And that's based on 1 space for every 1 bedroom or studio and 2 spaces for every 2 bedroom or more unit. In addition, that total number of parking spaces would require 8 handicap parking spaces. We are actually providing 15 in the project, and part of that is because as we distribute and allocate the accessible units throughout the site, we wanted to make sure that there were handicap parking spaces in locations that were close to each of those units. So we actually identified spots in each one of the parking lots in the phase where we would have handicap parking. This also demonstrates that we have wastewater capacity in our wastewater treatment plant. We have a groundwater discharge permit of 180,000 gallons a day, of which right now we're using about 90,000 gallons. This is 182 bedrooms that we would be adding to that plant, and even after adding those 182 bedrooms, we will still have an excess capacity of just over 70,000 gallons. We've met with, in addition to our conversations with Ed about the civil set, we've met with the fire department, and they reviewed a plan that we put together specifically for them that showed the turning radius for all of the intersections so that they could get to the buildings that they need to get to, and the hydrant locations. That also led into a discussion with Andy Marks from the Water District about the water lines. And Andy reviewed those and has provided verification that, yes, we can connect to the public water supply in the project. And the last piece that the board asked us to review when we were here in July was with the police department. Now, while we don't have anything formal from the police department, I did have a conversation with the police chief. And as of right now, there isn't anything that he's seen that has given him any pause or any concern, but he did want to take the opportunity to go and meet with his duty staff and have them review it as well and see if they had any suggestions for ways that we might approach anything that they have concerns about. As far as the process is concerned, we're here tonight looking for approval of these 3 subphases. And that's a step for us in order to get to the next piece, which is back to Mass Housing to get the final approval letter for this piece. And once the final approval letter is done, that formalizes things like the lottery arrangement, the monitoring agreement, all of the regulatory pieces that are part of what the ZBA needs to approve as part of the process, but can't actually be produced until we do the final approval letter with Mass Housing. So after the ZBA process, this process is done, we'll go to Mass Housing and then come back to the ZBA and finalize all of those things before we get into the construction piece of things.
Does Mass Housing run the lottery?
No. In our current process, we contract with SEB Housing.
Okay.
It's the Engler Group, and we have an engagement letter with SEB to do these 127 units as well. But again, that can't really be finalized until we get into the Mass Housing process as well. But our intention is to contract with SEB again to deal with the lottery and the monitoring. In addition to the lottery for the initial rental of the affordable units, the monitoring agent has annual processes that they go through to verify the affordable tenants and maintain the wait list, and there are a number of things that they help with. So that is the intention. And I would be happy to answer any questions. With me tonight, and I'm sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't say who was here with me. So we have Jack Dolly from Northland Residential, Brian Kuchar from Horsley Witten Group, the civil engineer, Peter Freeman from Freeman Law Group, our attorney, Jeremy Lake from Union Studio Architecture, and in the way back is Sarah Chase from Mashpee Commons. So while I may not be able to answer all your questions, hopefully one of these folks will be able to. Yes?
Let me start. How many of these units are handicap accessible?
There will be 7 Group 2 units. It's 5% of the total. So 7 out of the 127 will be accessible.
And they're kind of spread out between?
Correct.
Studio, 1 bedroom?
Correct.
that type of thing?
1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms right now. That's the allocation right now is, I think, 4 1-bedroom and 3 2-bedroom.
They're in different buildings also?
Correct. Yeah.
And the handicap parking spots are very close to?
They are,
Those
right now,
buildings, I would assume?
they are designed to be close to where we think that the accessible units will go. But one of the things that we have to remember is that as we get into the more finite design of each individual building, grades can change. And so what we've tried to do is allow for the flexibility to shift things around if we have to. So we don't, if we need to move a handicap parking space to be more closely located to an accessible unit, we have the latitude to do that.
So your intention is to keep a minimum at 15, or where the minimum is required is 8?
Correct.
But you expect to have a minimum of 15 at all times?
When it's complete, there will be 15 handicap accessible parking spaces. Now, we
And that's
won't,
just in this phase
that
here?
is just in this phase right here, correct.
What about visitor parking?
Visitor parking, the way that the parking was structured in the comp permit is we had to identify that there were off-street parking spaces for the residents and on-street parking spaces for the commercial spaces. But the reality is, it's all shared parking. And so the people that are coming to visit are going to use spots in the lot. They're going to use spots on the street. People that rent units are going to park in spots on the street. No one has an assigned parking space. So we believe that with the excess of parking that's provided, there are sufficient spaces for guests to visit the tenants in the spaces.
So there won't be any parking stickers or anything like that?
No, we don't do parking stickers.
If I did my math correctly, you've got 25% affordable?
That is correct. 25% of each phase as we go forward through the process has to be affordable. So out of the total number of units in phase 1, 25% will be affordable. As we go to phase 2, 25% of those will be affordable, and so on.
Is that part of your 40B agreement, or?
It's part of the comprehensive permit that each phase has to have 25% affordability.
25? That's higher than most 40Bs that I've seen.
40B is 25% affordability.
It is?
It is.
Thought it was 12 and a half, but.
No, it's 25%. That's typical for 40B projects, comprehensive permits, yeah.
I noticed you've got a number of buildings that are over 35 feet in height.
Correct.
What did the fire department say about that, or did they even see that one of them's proposed at what, 45 maybe?
Yeah, when we've had discussions with the fire department previously about building height, because we have other buildings that are taller than 35.
You mentioned had a discussion with the police, but it's still ongoing?
Yeah, and again, when I spoke with the chief, I said, I don't want to make any representations that I'm speaking for you, but I said, is it okay if I tell them that your first blush of the plan is you don't have any issues? And he said, yes. But he did ask for more time to review with his duty staff, and it's just to come up with any potential suggestions that they might have for making it a safer and friendlier place. He didn't anticipate that there would be any concerns as far as the layout of buildings per se, but it is a different type of project.
Okay. Well, if we were to approve this plan tonight, and that's still out there hanging,
I think we could.
how could we make that work?
I think we could condition it on any future
Comments.
recommendations from the from the police department would be agreed to by the applicant.
You have no problem with that?
No.
We're going to have the same thing with Ed, who has not finished looking at this.
Yeah, and
That is going to be,
it's a lot for, I mean, it's a 28-sheet set of documents and a 510-page stormwater report. It's a lot. And for Ed to have come into this process without the history that a lot of us have with how we got from A to B, there's a steep learning curve. And, you know, Ed has drank from the fire hose. and I think a lot of our conversations have really been focused on connecting the dots so he really understands what he's looking at. And they've been very productive conversations. I think that it's been a productive relationship. And I don't think that any of the comments that we've had so far have been earth-shattering.
well, the board is relying heavily on Ed as, you know, we're just laymen here, and
Yeah, and it's a very similar to
It's the expert.
when Charlie was here, when we went through Phase 1A. You know, Charlie even wrote the inspection criteria that's part of the comp permit. So understanding that the town's consulting engineer plays a big role in this is absolutely something that we understand.
so you'd be willing to be flexible when he comes up with some stuff, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks down the road or whatever?
Yeah, because again, this isn't the end of the process with Ed. While we go through the construction, Ed will have inspection responsibilities for the board that he will be involved with this really throughout the process.
And I think, Tom, when we do read in a motion, it will be conditioned on Ed's
Final,
current and future recommendations will be adhered to.
Okay. I don't think we have a problem
no
with that.
issues with that?
No.
I think Ed feels very comfortable working with you guys, so.
Well, that's good.
Good.
Do we need to talk about financing for Ed?
We do have an escrow account that was set up initially, and when I first checked in with Mary Ann, there were still funds remaining in the escrow account. I don't know sort of where the board is with invoicing and billing, but as I said to...
No idea yet,
Yeah,
but I'm
I
just
said
throwing
to
that out.
Mary Ann, just let us know if the escrow account doesn't have sufficient, but we funded, I don't remember what the total was that we funded, but we'd only used about half of it during the Phase 1A process.
Okay. How would that work? Would we need to meet again to vote on something like that? And we could do that at the next meeting?
For payment?
Just
Yeah.
make sure the escrow has enough money in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, is there something in the comprehensive permit that already addresses that that the applicant will provide an initial engineering escrow of X and then replenish it when it drops below 50%?
It doesn't
know
stipulate a
the
value.
details,
All-
I don't
The
be honest.
comprehensive permit, I'm sorry, the comprehensive permit does stipulate that we pay for those services, but it doesn't get into values, it doesn't get into, if it gets below a certain amount, we have to replenish. It's basically
Trying to make it
just.
easy,
Yeah, I
right.
appreciate that, and that would have been great, but it doesn't have it.
No. I don't even remember the language, if it was reasonable fees, and I can't remember what the language was.
That level of specificity, I don't remember.
No, I don't think there was.
No.
I don't,
It
I
was
don't,
fairly brief.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't see a big issue there.
I don't have any other comments, other than I want to hear from Ed. Sharon?
Well, the fire department has a comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you wanted to propose an amount tonight, we would be comfortable with that, and then Mary Ann and I
have
can
no
work
idea what that
together.
amount would be.
I think the initial was set up at $5,000, and if Mary Ann checks and it's well below $5,000, we would be happy to replenish up to that $5,000 limit.
Why don't we do that, bring it up, back up to 5,000 for now?
Yeah, I think that.
You good with that?
And maybe that simplifies your process a little bit, so we don't have to.
You don't have to come back.
Well, I mean, and we don't have to really get into it too much. We're just going to look, and if it's not 5,000, then we'll bring it back up to 5.
Mr. Chairman, I would just say, for inspections, the $5,000 number seems like a reasonable number when we get to that point. We're going to expend, and this is, I'm not trying to talk about invoicing. I haven't even prepared an invoice yet. I'm not even done looking at it. But you know, we're going to exceed $5,000 in the review of this.
Oh, I'm
So
sure.
my team, me and myself and my team. So I like the idea of if you wanted to add a condition in your decision that for inspections, the engineering escrow account would be at least funded, you know, confirmed it's funded at 5,000. When it reaches 50% of that, it's replenished, so we never have to play catch up. But we're going to need a little bit more than 5,000 to get through this process
Do
to
you have
that
an issue
point.
with that?
No, so why don't we bump it up to 10 for now? Does 10 seem like a more reasonable number? Is
It'll
that-
certainly get us there.
Okay, so let's start with 10 for now, if the board is amenable to this, and then we'll set the 5,000 threshold for inspection, so when the 10 gets down to 2,500, we'll replenish back up to 5. Does that seem straight? I mean, I don't want to make this more confusing. I'm hoping to, I
Scott,
think
you
it's,
got that?
So we're going to increase
Thank you.
the escrow to 10,000 now, and if it ever drops below 5,000, we'll.
if
to
it drops to
2,500,
2,500,
Bring it up to 5.
we'll bring it up to 5, yes.
I think so.
Get the red man on the job here.
He's just writing.
Like writing up a bid.
All right. I'm sorry, Sharon, you had something?
I said the fire
Sorry,
department has some. I have comments from Jack Phelan.
Yeah.
Okay, dated November 9th, 2022. Members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I met with representatives from Mashpee Commons and the civil engineers in September to discuss road layouts, hydrant locations, access, and turning radius. Mashpee Commons submitted an updated revised plan, and I'm satisfied with the proposal at present.
That's from Jack Phelan.
From Jack Phelan.
Okay. Anybody else? Ed, do you have any comments?
Yes,
so far?
so hello again, everyone. For the record, I'm Ed Pesci of Pesci Engineering. I certainly have big shoes to fill, taking over for Charlie Rowley. Just a wonderful man, great reputation in the area, and did a lot of work to get to this point for the community and for Mashpee Commons. I've had some, I think their team recognized the learning curve I was going to start with, and they've made time to sit down with me and go over the overview of the previous project, some of the changes back in September, some of the changes they were proposing, and then we've met regularly in the last 30 days, a couple of times, as recently as Monday, to go over some of my initial comments. So I spent a good solid day going through the plans, going through some of the stormwater analysis, and really on Monday's working session, between myself, Mr. Ferranti, and Mr. Kuchar, Brian Kuchar from Horsley Witten Group, we actually marked up, I don't know, 8 or 10 things on the plans that they've already agreed to make changes to, which I didn't include in my letter. But I felt like I needed to give you some kind of preliminary review so that you'd have something in writing from me about what I've looked at. During that meeting, I also got some of that information that was alluded to tonight. So the wastewater letter, because I asked about the wastewater capacity, because I was thinking site plan review, big picture, not just the engineering and infrastructure and the stormwater plans, but also the other site plan review questions that I come up with. So I mentioned something about lighting, a lighting plan in here in my letter. So other site plan review related things. But I did get a lot of additional information. Mr. Ferranti gave me a link to the application package that was submitted to you all, which is quite large. So I got to look at a few things. I have not thoroughly gone through the construction mitigation plan, but I looked at water, wastewater. I looked at the parking analysis. And Tom, you mentioned, make sure I'm clear on this, because it's a number I have not confirmed by counting every space myself. I always do that, just so you know. An engineer says there's 244 spaces. I go to find 244 spaces. I want to know where the numbers are. But I haven't done that yet. But you said it's required. Your two numbers were 244 required. Did you say 246 provided?
Yes, I think that's what it was. Yeah, 244 required for the off-street parking and 246 supplied.
That's just to service the 127 units in 1B through D.
Actually, it's all 179 units of Phase 1. So in order for us to accurately demonstrate that the parking is sufficient for the entirety of the phase, and again, while this is not the best spreadsheet to look at on the screen, you'll notice in the spreadsheet at the top section, it gets into the Phase 1A buildings, and the cells that are highlighted in pink are the cells that are already built, the already built residential units and the already built commercial spaces. For those that aren't built yet, we have a program for those buildings that we went through with the ZBA in 2015 and 2016, and the commercial space is actually set up so that if there's commercial space, you allocate 25% to each of the 4 types of commercial space that there could be. It could be retail, residential, office, or service business. Each one of those 4 uses has its own parking requirement.
Right.
So we assume 25% of each to make sure that we're not just telling the board, oh, don't worry about it.
It's office.
It's all office at 3
Right.
spaces per 1,000, and then we build a restaurant that's 6 spaces per 1,000.
So that's where your 344 number comes from? The overview number?
Well, the 344 includes all the on-street spaces as well. So this parking analysis looks at
Everything.
everything.
Gotcha.
And then really for the purposes of what we're doing now, because we only have residential in this piece, we focused primarily on demonstrating that the residential parking count meets the requirement.
And then I would ask, the 244 required is based on, and I need to confirm this because it's in a couple of different places, is it based on the comprehensive permit requirement or the zoning bylaw
The
requirement?
comprehensive permit requirement is 1 space for every studio and 1-bedroom unit, and 2 spaces for 2 or more bedrooms.
Gotcha.
So if it's a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, it's 2 spaces. And that is in the comp permit.
Okay, then the only comment off the top of my head, and I'm not trying to throw any wrench into the works here, is that they're only providing 2 extra spaces. So, but again, 2 or more spaces for 2 or more units, 2 more bedrooms would incorporate some visitor capacity. I guess that's the thought. As long as the board is comfortable with 244 provided, 244 required, 246 provided, then that's, if you feel that's reasonable, then that's what we'll go with.
I agree with you. I mean, there's never enough parking in Mashpee Commons. It's so popular.
I
But-
think they're the ones that care more about it than we do. They will care, certainly, but I wanted to make sure the board was okay. When I heard 244, 246, it didn't sound like a big difference to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure the board has the ability to have them provide more than is required.
I think you're right, Chuck, we don't.
We did, that's
I mean, we could recommend, but I don't think we can require anything more than what
Is
In
required.
the comprehensive permit.
yeah.
Yeah, so I realize that there's a lot of things that
And these are,
and Tom
this is
was-
all done by the town bylaws.
Yes, the theory behind parking requirements is so that when you get to the end of a project, you have a net of zero. You know, you have no excess and no deficiency. So the fact that we actually have two more, it's just a function of how our lots lay out. But one of the things to also keep in mind is that when you look at the on-street parking spaces, we do have an excess of 30, 38, 36 spaces because we have more on-street spaces than we need for the commercial square footage that we would build. So while there is only 2 extra off-street parking spaces, there will be extra on-street spaces. Jonathan and I love to talk about parking.
Another layer of the onion that we're talking about. But, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I will tell you that I've had several good technical review sessions with their team. Virtually every question I've asked has been answered or addressed. Almost in real time, Mr. Kuchar was making changes to the plan. He was emailing me today. I was flying back to Boston today from Florida, and I was exchanging emails with him about some things that are comments that are in the letter. And so he was researching and making changes to the plans, already making efforts to change the plans. So I have worked with the Horsley Witten Group before. For my work with I'm the consulting engineer for the Nantucket Planning Board and Zoning Board, and I've worked with them on a 40B project with Brian himself, actually, and his team, with a 40B project in Nantucket. So I'm fairly comfortable and certainly familiar with their team, and I've been, I guess, suitably impressed with the responsiveness. I don't expect that to change. But I would want you to condition any approval or vote tonight that they would respond and address any of the Pesci Engineering comments in my preliminary report and the future final report that I'll generate, and I will commit to doing that in the next 2 weeks. I would love to be able to say I could get it done by next week. I just don't know if that's possible. Believe me, I want it to be done by next week. Okay. But every time I sit down and go through 100 pages of something, I have a couple questions for Brian and Tom, and they're very gracious in setting up a meeting to go over that. So I'm still doing that. At least be aware that I will be giving it a very thorough review and spot checking the drainage design. Really what we're down and left to is you get some of the highlights. We talked a little bit about parking. We're down to the drainage analysis technical review, and it's a very robust drainage design. There are a number of best management practices they're proposing that are not normally seen in many developments. So they're green, infrastructure in many ways. The tree trenches, the tree pit, proprietary systems is an example. So it's just a detailed analysis that's it doesn't happen in an afternoon. It doesn't happen in an afternoon to build it and to design it. So I've gone through. I know that they've had the opportunity to look at my comments. Again, Brian Kuchar's already responded to a couple of them already. Yep, got that one taken care of. I didn't even know that they had spoken to Chief Phelan yet. I assumed they had, but I didn't know Chief Phelan had. And then, of course, that email came through, so that's already been addressed. So I'm certainly comfortable with you, if you would be, direct them to work directly with me to resolve all my technical review comments, meet with them and go through that, and then I would prepare a letter to the board stating that all of my comments have been addressed, and referencing the final design date, revision date of those plans, and those will become the plans of record for your decision.
One thing, a couple of things we didn't talk about. Is there a landscape plan at all?
The landscape plan was included in the packet that was submitted to you, and
The big white book that I read?
2 sheets.
there's 2 sheets of a landscape plan. And actually, this is a nice segue to talk about one of the items that Ed brought up, which is the lighting plan. There isn't a lighting plan included in the set. There's a lighting narrative which explains the methodology behind how we will approach lighting. And the reason is similar to what Ed brought up with the landscape plan, that really, when it comes to landscape plan, we can design what we think is going to need to be there, but we have to review things to make sure that we're not impacting lines of sight, things like that, that it's not where a stop sign needs to go or a transformer. So the landscape plan that's included is a conceptual plan that shows what our intention is, which is to carry through the same tree-lined streets that we already have, but there might be some slight tweaks to it as we go along once utilities and lights are laid out the way that they need to be to have a safe site.
Then I might recommend, Mr. Chairman, that one of your conditions of this decision would be that final design plans and landscape plans and lighting plans be provided for review prior to issuance of a building permit. That's commonly done.
And all that
Repeat-
stuff is
Repeat
typically.
that again for Scott.
Yeah.
Final design plan. for
Final
landscape.
civil engineering design plans, landscape design plans, and I won't go fast because I can't write that fast either. And proposed lighting plans will be submitted to the board for final review by the board's engineer prior to issuance of a building permit. And that way, building commissioner will have to get a letter from me saying that I've reviewed them and so on. That way, it kind of, it's a check and balance for the board and in the town.
Very good. How many new buildings again?
26.
Are they going to be fairly consistent
26,
with
sorry.
the buildings that are currently there, residential, regarding colors, et cetera?
Yes, because again, all
All
of the buildings have
neutral
to adhere to the architectural code that's part of the comprehensive permit. So yes, it will be of a similar style. And again, in the big packet that you have, there are representative elevations for each of the 6 building types. So you can start to get a sense of what they will look like.
It was home right now.
Yeah. Not 9 building types, sorry. 9 building
Aren't you
types.
happy I gave you that piece of paper?
I probably have said that wrong 3 times tonight.
We're just talking about that.
So I'm also, should I assume that the fire department will be looking at stuff like sprinkler systems inside buildings and things like this?
That's all part of the building code. So as we advance a building, we have to provide a code review that gives the building commissioner comfort that we are designing to the state codes.
What are we missing? Anything? David, any comments at all? You're going to get the final look at it anyway.
I'm good. I like the layout, I like the buildings. They, from the original, I think they have changed in style a little bit, but they look great.
I assume there's dumpsters for trash, et cetera.
In the civil set, on the site plan, there are dumpster locations identified in each one of the parking lots.
And I would assume they're surrounded by fence or something like that.
They're represented as being surrounded by fence right now, but that is one of the, we identified the spaces and we'll make sure that it's appropriately screened when the time comes.
Anybody?
I'm good.
Yeah. Anybody in the audience have any questions, comments, or concern? Come right up. You can have the mic, and if you would, give us your name and address and say your piece.
Hi, my name is Arden Russell. My address is Sturgis Lane in Mashpee. I have a couple of questions. Are the existing affordable units currently in compliance? Do you have confirmation of that?
I'm not sure what you mean by in compliance.
So as Mr. Franti mentioned, there's a requirement annually for them for monitoring of the affordable units to make sure that the incomes of the tenants comply and that the rents comply with the terms of the comp permit. And the town should be receiving confirmation of that monitoring process to make sure that those units are in compliance.
Isn't that done by the housing?
I'm not sure who does that. Couldn't
If
tell
they're
you.
what I think the question, if I can interpret, and Tom mentioned it earlier, that the lottery is not only handled by whatever group you said it was, but they also monitor it on an ongoing basis to make sure there's compliance with the, I assume, the financials.
Yeah, they do the income verification of the affordable tenant.
Sure, and who's receiving any kind of communication from them that the terms are being met?
It's not the zoning board.
It should be the town, should be receiving, it should be the zoning board in the town who's receiving
No, it's not the
confirmation
zoning
that
board.
it's
not the
our
zoning.
permit, it's our conditions, it's our permit, it's our responsibility to know that before,
Yeah.
especially before you give them additional permits, that they're in compliance with their current permit.
Mass Housing gets the report. I don't know if Mass Housing filters into the town, but it does go to the state.
I'd like to see the board institute a practice of asking for copies of that report to know that your current requests from applicants, that you can count on compliance from an applicant before you give them additional permits to do more of the same.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of our purview here.
I've worked on a lot of comp permits, and I did a lot of,
sorry?
I've worked on a lot of comp permits, and I've done a lot of monitoring, and I've received a lot of monitoring. I was the affordable housing specialist for the town of Barnstable, and we received letters on a continual basis
Okay,
from the
then maybe-
monitoring agent.
Maybe you can help us. Who in the
Okay.
town would normally take care of?
Well, because
you're
I
talking
would
about.
say that it should be a condition in the permit as to who those reports would come to, so it
Okay, who in Barnstable did it?
It would technically say the town manager, and then the town manager would forward that on to appropriate staff if he felt that he needed guidance from the letter, from the letter. So the town manager should receive copies.
Okay, do you think there's any reason why?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
because we're giving them an enormous amount of increased density in exchange for affordable housing, and we want to be sure we're getting affordable housing.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, for the record, Peter Freeman, Freeman Law Group in Yarmouthport for the applicant, and I've worked with Arden for years. She's right, she worked in Barnstable. We don't have any objection to making sure that the proper compliance takes place, but there is no particular requirement to give copies to the town. Would be, if you'd like to institute that, we certainly could, but it does go through Mass Housing, and there's a monitoring agent, which I believe is CHAPA. Again, the spirit of what Arden is saying is fine, but as I believe the chairman just said, it's really not relevant to what we're doing now because it's not new permitting. I understand, Arden, if it was a question of an applicant seeking a change or increased units or new permitting per se, then it might be subject to that type of review or verification. And I say that not because there's anything that we, can't disclose. The compliance is there. As you know, they're good developers, good owners, good landlords. But for tonight, it certainly, I don't think, is germane to what's going on. So the spirit of it, I agree with, but I can assure you that the proper agencies have the verification every year. It's an annual requirement, as Arden said.
Okay, so how could we follow up on that? What's the best way to handle it? To make sure that her questions are...
Sure. I'll have to go through my client, but I'm sure that they can work with their management staff and make sure that they have the record showing that Mass Housing and the monitoring agent have been given the information, and, you know, confirm that to the town. And
Yeah, I'm sure somebody in this town does it. I know that the volunteers in this board don't do it.
sure, and I don't think
But I
you'd
don't
want to.
know.
It'd probably be rather soporific,
Town
as we say.
That should go to the town manager to,
Right.
Yeah, but we can verify for you. Again, I don't have any
Mass
objection.
Housing-
I don't have any
Mass
objection to
Housing, I
the.
assume, provides information to the town
Sure.
through
Yeah.
the town manager or his department.
Sure. No, we'll verify that for you, and certainly on an ongoing basis, it's absolutely appropriate that that happen. So as I say, no issue with the substance. So thank you.
Great, thank you for addressing that concern. And then I just have one other small comment. Condition number 23 on page 17, it says the applicant will provide the board with cost and revenue statement after the sale of the 191st residential unit. So I know that they've changed the tenure of many of their units to rental units, so I don't know that there will still be 191 sale units, and maybe that
it's all rental units.
condition needs to be adjusted.
isn't it all rental units?
These are all rental, aren't
This
they?
phase is all rental, which takes us to 107. Next slide.
So that brings up a good question.
This
Say it
phase
again, Tom.
is all rental, which leaves 207 units left to go. But, I mean, again, it's, as Peter said, it's certainly something for us to talk about with the board, but it's a little bit outside of what we're doing tonight. But happy to have the conversation with the board about how to address that.
Yeah, they might be a little outside of what we're doing tonight, but they're all part of Section 4, which was,
Okay, well, we did, you were here, was it 2 months ago?
July.
July. And we did a modification,
Yes, correct.
and I'm not sure that came up as part of the modification, but we agreed to allow you to build rental units instead of for sale.
Sale.
So there was a modification of that special permit.
Right.
I'm not sure if that covers it. Maybe Peter could.
Yeah, in part, what you said is accurate, but also, and I did bring the permit because I thought questions might come up, so I respect your being thorough. Doesn't surprise me, having worked with you for so long. But basically, what condition 23 in the original permit says, it's the limited dividend provision. It's a condition that makes sure that the applicant will comply with the limited dividend provision, and that is through the subsidizing agency. Cost certifications at the end that haven't taken place yet because we're not at the end. But if it either says that we send copies to the town, I believe, or you can ask for them, but either way, when that happens, you would get copies. But the dividend limitations, they're different on rental, and most of these conditions speak to the for sale units. I don't think that there's any need for a modification of this particular condition because the compliance with cost certification and limited dividend provisions is basically up to the subsidizing agency. But yes, we will follow the condition and provide the town with copies when those things happen.
so this condition is, it looks like it's an additional interim report, not upon completion. So the interim number is 191 sale units, so that number now might be irrelevant if there's never going to be 191 sale units.
Right, well, that's the part that you read, but we're not at that stage, as you also said, so.
Right, well, I'm concerned you're never going to get there because you've changed them to rentals. And then there'll never have to be an interim financial report because you've changed the tenure of the units.
But we didn't change the tenure of all the units. We only changed the tenure of the units in this phase.
So
Right.
at this point, you don't know, you can't say whether there will ever be 191?
Well, at this point, there would, because the remainder, at this point, there would, because the remainder of the units in phases 2 through 7 would be for sale. There are more than 191 units left in those phases. So
Again, I
yes,
just asked the board to pay attention to this. You
Well,
know,
again, I don't
If they were
mind
to come
pay-
again for another change in tenure, you want to just highlight that you've got that 191
Sure.
as a tickler.
And that's appropriate for the future, but as Tom said, we're not there yet, so we haven't even reached that, and it doesn't require any change at this point, or the previous modifications we received wouldn't have triggered any change in that. So it's a good point to be aware of it, that's fine, but it's certainly fine for now.
Good question.
Thank you. And you answered all of my other questions regarding the conditions of the plans that needed to be required as you continued to talk about them. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other comments by anyone? Any final comments, Ed?
No, sir.
We get two motions to make. One is to, on the funding, let's do that first.
I only have one motion that was given to me. I have the,
It's included on.
Can we do it in one motion?
Yeah. I think we can.
it's the only motion I have.
We put it in. It's on there.
Oh, the funding?
The
You mean
funds.
the, oh, no, I have that. To condition that, you
It's
mean?
conditioned.
I conditioned it.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
I'm going to condition it.
I'm sorry?
Oh,
I would think.
okay.
that makes sense, and the vote is pretty simple. I have to prepare something that simply just reflects about one sentence.
So you just make a
But you
motion.
have, but there is a comment on here on this motion about funding, but we're gonna change
Yeah,
that.
there is.
So do I,
There's already a comment on,
If it's written up as one motion, it's okay, it really doesn't matter.
I don't think it does either. We were already including that $5,000 comment.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if that's.
So
Which needs to
we
be 10,
changed
though.
that to.
I just changed the
reflect what
wording.
we discussed.
to the new comment, so I crossed that out and changed it. We good with that? Well, you'll let me know if it's good or not. 'Cause
I think
it's gonna be a motion, so you can let me know what you think.
For simplicity, anticipating that we might get to this point tonight, I read out a short motion. I don't think I need to read it. If I can just hand it to you. It just makes
Hand
reference to the plans. I know the important part, which I didn't write out because I wasn't aware of what's been going on with Mr. Pesci, but naturally, you don't have the recognitions allowed with regular meetings, which is fine, so this just would be useful.
Yeah, Scott's going to make the motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then you could vote them out.
And then you could have visitor spaces to be no question.
This isn't. Do I read this in? I don't know. I don't know if I need to read that in compared to what I have.
I think what you did is better.
Okay, you good, Scott?
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I think what I have is clearer, but.
Okay, why don't we go
We're
with
going to go with what we've done.
So I'm not gonna read this part, I'm gonna do it the way we wrote it.
Okay?
Okay.
Scott, would you like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion.
Wait a minute.
I don't want
Did
to
you
make a
have a
motion.
problem here?
We just want to make sure you reference plans, and that's part of what's in the ones Peter drafted.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you already plan to do that.
All right, well,
in your
it's-
motion.
This motion has, it is referencing plans, but I don't know if it's the same as what Peter,
It should be the same because it's the plans that are included in the binder.
it's about 1B, 1C, 1D, and they build out a phase one. Well, I guess you can stop me if it's wrong.
In my letter, I referenced the plans, so it's the same exact
So-
reference that Peter gives you, that Peter gave you.
But if I condition on the town comments, is this in your town comments?
He wants to, they're recommending you're recommending to make a motion. He wants to make a motion to
Make sure
reference
include-
the current set of plans that are dated October 28th,
Correct.
2022. But those plans will need to be revised later on. You added another condition, the final plans
Yes,
will
I
be
did.
provided. Right, so the reference for tonight is for the October 2022 plan. They're
Is that
actually-
what is referenced here? That's on this?
Does it give a date on
It
it?
doesn't have a date.
Why don't we put a date?
October 28th, 2022. Both sets are dated the same. The architectural and the civil.
So 1B, C, and D dated October 28th.
Okay. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve that the board accepts the Mashpee Commons Limited Partnership, MCLP, and Jobs Whiting Trust, JWT, request for approval of the final site plans dated October 28th, 2022, for subphases 1B, 1C, and 1D of the build-out of Phase 1 in accordance with Section 4, Decision and Conditions of the Chapter 40B Comprehensive Permit. Also conditioned on all town comments read into the record. Also conditioned that the, you gotta bear with me because I wrote a lot of stuff here. Condition, yeah, I changed a lot there. Conditioned that Mashpee Commons provide the engineering escrow account be replenished to a total of $10,000. When it's reduced to $2,500 total, it will be replenished to a $5,000 total. That's gonna go on. Conditioned that all comments by Pesci Engineering currently and in the future be addressed and approved by Pesci Engineering. Conditioned that any future comments from Mashpee Police be addressed and approved by the Mashpee Police Department. Conditioned that the final civil engineering landscape design plans and proposed lighting plans be reviewed and approved by the town engineer, Pesci Engineering. I think that's all I got.
Do we miss anything?
Prior to issue of a building permit.
Prior to issue of a building permit on the plans to be
They
reviewed
have
by
time
Pesci.
between now and then to do that.
And
They have time between now and then to do that, to give them
In-
the opportunity.
giving the time to, between now and then to get.
And when you
before the building
reference,
permit is issued.
when you reference the plans, do you want to reference the architectural set from Union Studio and the civil set from Horsley Witten Group, as opposed to just
I
saying
would
the?
like to approve, yes.
Okay, I mean, when you say the plans dated October 28th,
but that's all.
just.
And what are they again?
The two sets were in my attachment.
It's,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's I don't know the technical title of the architectural set, but it's the architectural set from Union Studio and the civil set from Horsley
Is
Witten
that the
Group.
Exhibit A?
Yeah.
The plans being Mashpee Commons Jobs Neighborhood Administrative Design Review Plan set October 28, 2022, sheets 1 through 22, prepared by Union Studio, Mashpee Commons 40B Phase 1, Phase 1B, 1C, 1D, construction plans, Mashpee, Mass. 02649, October 28, 2022, sheets C1 through C28, prepared by Horsley Witten Group.
We're good?
We're good.
Okay, do we have a second? All right, Jim seconds. Sharon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
It's exciting to keep going. Oh,
One quick thing, if you'll bear with me, since we happen to be here, it should only take a minute. It's a housekeeping matter. In going through the records in preparing for tonight, when we were back here in June on the tenure change on those 38 units, it appears that we never got anything in writing. I checked the minutes. The minutes are very specific, so there's no doubt that it was approved, and I'm comfortable with that. But I just thought, since we were going to be here tonight, I drafted a short letter to Thomas Ferranti that basically says, with reference to the specific letter that I had submitted dated May 26th, and I essentially quoted the minutes that said that the minor modification was to change the tenure of 38 units in Phase 1 of the project from for-sale homeownership units to rental units, and then it mimicked the minutes again and named the members who voted, which was unanimous in favor, pursuant to the 760 CMR regulation, to make such determination that that change was insubstantial. And as you just read into your vote tonight, conditioned that the letter from Peter L. Freeman dated May 26, 2022, excuse me, be entered into the record. So it just seemed as though we might as well do that, so I've done it, and I attached my May 26 letter. Thanks.
Stamp it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, you know, you can follow up if Mary Ann has any questions or questions that you have. Mary Ann can certainly follow up with me tomorrow, so appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Marianne, do I need to do anything before I take my flash drive out of here? No. Okay. I'd looked to see if there was a
he can just pull it out.
I don't.
She knows what's going on. Oh, yeah, she did something in Marston. Yeah. Really good. Smart lady. Zero. No flies on her,
She did.
I'm sure they're 100% fine.
Thanks, Tom.
Like we're watching.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks very much, everyone. I know I helped out with the Echo Road project a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
That looked like something that's, you know, reasonable.
Oh, the solar
The
one?
solar
Yeah.
canopy project, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm certainly, I'll certainly be making myself available. Mary Ann's great to work with. Not
Yeah,
to-
she's all right.
Not to, you know, I think you already know that.
Of course we do.
She's been very helpful, and she's always good to reach, she reaches out to me and asks questions, and, you know, where I can.
Great.
I'm in
Let
middle
us
of,
know when your fund gets,
yes, I will,
and
you
submit
know, in the,
what you need.
for the
to
amount of
do.
time on this whole project, I'll be quite frank, burn through 10K pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just,
Oh, that's a
there's
big
not,
project, yeah.
there's not much I can do about it, but that's not anything they don't already know.
Well, when you send the bill to Mary Ann, we can approve it right here, and
So
Get it
I'll get, I've got quite a few days already into it, so I'll get an interim invoice for after tonight together, just so I can get something in, because that'll trigger their actions to replenish or whatever. You and I can talk tomorrow, you can tell me what you got in the account now, you know, but I'll work on an invoice to get to you and,
okay,
you
because
and
we
Mary
meet,
Ann.
what, in a month?
Oh, is that, yeah.
Yeah, you picked a bad time of year. We only meet
I know, right next.
once in November, once.
Oh, why,
in
do you have to approve them at your hearings? Oh, okay.
I'd like to make a motion to move to approve October 12th meeting minutes 2022.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, we don't have to press these in.